a lot of the things that happened weren't really in an original plan. People talk about a business plan. We just roll with it. I'm Angela Crawford. This is Crawford's Hole in the Wall. My husband, Drew, actually did a lot of the work inside here. We were to the point that we were ready to open the place, but we did not have a name. Drew was up here working, and if you see the plaster on the walls, he chipped all of that to make it look like it does. And he was back here by the Coke machine, and he chipped it off. He called me, he's like, I've got the name. And I was like, what? And he said, it needs to be hole in the wall. He said, everybody loves a little hole in the wall joint. We actually left the hole there, and it's been there for 19 years. The most popular items, the taco salad, that's a signature that we've had since the beginning. I'd say we sell more of that, chicken salad, and burgers than probably anything else. My favorite spicy chicken sandwich is hard to beat. I definitely like the best sellers. It was called Saffel's Machine Shop was the last thing it was before we had it, which it had sat empty for several years. It was a cleaner's at one point. Back there where the TV is, there was a ledge and it had an upstairs and they had machines up there. A lady that has eaten with us for years said she used to work there. And then it was a little store at one point. This building is super old. It was one of the only buildings that survived the fire of 1916. So I don't know how far it went back before that, but there's a neat picture of it as just a little store. It had that same awning on the front, and it was like an old-fashioned grocery store. That was one thing Drew really wanted to do, was keep it, as is. As you notice, we don't have plugs, and all of this is actually original. And then we just added on at that doorway and made the kitchen and everything. There really wasn't a lot going on down here, but at the time we were young, mid-20s, we said, well, we're gonna try it anyway. It's close to downtown, and I think it was just kind of hopeful, wishful thinking that part would work. And it's been amazing to see what has happened in especially in the last 10, 15 years downtown. Really from day one, there would be a line. There would be a line to that counter for a lot. That was that way for many years. People would walk in, and Drew likes to say, they would look around. People look around to see who's here. That was part of coming here. Drew, my husband, is such a people person, and he worked the counter for years. And so people would come just to talk to him, and it was just always that really friendly atmosphere. Even in a culture where everyone is more driven in fast food, to keep making it that, there's communication here between employees, people come in for meetings. It's changed through the years. Things since COVID haven't been quite the same. We do more business on the curb than what used to. Everybody came in and ate. And there were many, many times the line would come from that counter out the door and around the building. My husband, Drew, his mother, Sharon, used to own 24th Street Cafe. She had a few of the signs and things like that, so we were able to get those. His uncle owned a really well-known joint in McKinney called Bill Smith's Cafe. It was a breakfast place, and he collected signs, so we were able to get some from him. We made probably 4 trips to Canton. David Glass gave us the Moose later. It was neat how people would say, hey, I've got such and such, would you like it in your place? Especially at the time we opened, there weren't a lot of places that looked like this here. You could go to a Roadhouse or something and have a neat look, but it just kind of was a joint effort. And like I said, I give my husband and his mom a lot of credit. She has a great eye for antiques and things that are good pieces. I keep going back to, it seems like a lot of the things that happened weren't really in an original plan. People talk about a business plan. We just roll with it. There was a lady in town named Robin Figgins. She said, I have this recipe and you need to make it. He tweaked it a little bit, and could never have imagined that would have become what we were known for. I have said many times, I wish we had put a tick mark on the wall for every bread pudding that's been made back there, because it's unbelievable. Every now and then I'll say, okay, I don't want to have that today, let's have cobbler. And I guarantee someone's gonna be like, oh my gosh, I came here to get the bread pudding and you don't have it. We had no business plan about catering. Jeff Ballard, the superintendent at Prairie Land, ate here for lunch a lot, and one year he just asked us to cater their education foundation banquet. So we literally just decided to cater a banquet for 300 and did it, and that was just the beginning. But again, it was not by any kind of design at all. It was just, hey, well, we'll just learn how to do this a little at a time. Takery, we started at the end of 2019. We felt there was a need for food that families could use and take home and warm up that wasn't fast food. So we basically took our catering and scaled it down so that you got servings for 4, 6, or 8. When COVID happened, we were a little bit ahead of the game because once our doors were shut down, we had to figure out ways to continue to get the food out there, and the takery just basically skyrocketed because people were shut in, they were missing their favorite foods. There would be brown bags filling this entire area that people would come by and pick up. It would have been really hard without a drive-through and only keeping our hours if we had just, done a lunch to go, so. The backyard has been really fun. At the beginning, we just put some picnic tables outside here. Then it just kind of grew from that. We were putting up a fence, and Wyatt Bowden, who's Full Blast, was up here looking at the fence. And he and I were standing out there talking, and he's like, "You realize you have a really cool space back there?" So again, people were wanting to eat outside, the whole safety thing. When there's a fire back there, the lights are on, there's a spot there for a DJ or even people to play live music. We've had a wedding out there, an actual wedding, not just the reception. We've had multiple receptions, showers, plus just on at night for dinner and concerts, things like that. So yes, it's given it a whole nother, I don't know, maybe a little more of a Dallas feel for a small town that's been really fun. The lights are my favorite thing ever since they've lit the trees up. The downtown concerts last summer were something that was one of the greatest things that they've ever come up with, but the concerts was just, to me, like off the charts. I grew up in Paris. We had a fountain. We had a couple of stores, but there wasn't much going on. I mean, you did never hear, like I have teenagers now, and I think it's neat for them to be able to go down there and listen to a concert or have something to do in Paris. It's exploding, it really is. After you've been in business a long time, you get to a point where you think, well, are we gonna, is it gonna lose its trend or whatever? But the fact that downtown is exploding, it gives business owners like us more opportunities. And then, it makes you think, when you think about doing something like the backyard, you think, well, there's gonna be a lot of people here for things like the Archers, different events that come to town. If downtown's growing, then we can continue to grow. We don't have to be stagnant just because we've been here for a long time. I honestly don't see anything but growth down here. It seems like more and more people want to be over this way. I guess I'm optimistic for the future of downtown.
Would you rather find a horse-sized duck or 100 duck-sized horses?
If you asked me that question 10 years ago, I would have said 100 duck-sized horses. Where I'm at in life right now, I would definitely say I'd like to fight one horse-sized duck. I feel like it's easier to tackle one problem at a time in the world that we live in. That's it? That's a wrap?